Good morning, my dear students, class 10th. This is your English book, Story 1, The Letter to God. It is by G.L. Fenches, who is a Mexican writer. And children, we have read this story in the class, but for those who were not there, let's revise this story and you have to complete it in your notebook. In this story, children, there is a character called Lancho. He is a farmer and his crops are ready to be cut and he is waiting rain, and he is living in his farm in a valley. As I told you, the scene, where is he living, and that scene is he stays on the top of a hill, and on the crest of a small hill his hut is there, and he is looking at his field and he thinks that if it rains he is going to be get a nice produce and they will be able to survive the next year. But what happens, children, is that instead of rain there is a storm, a hailstone storm, and all his fields and his crops were destroyed. And that made him very much upset, depressed, and he felt very sad. And children, as we know that this story teaches us that how a person's faith or trust can move even big mountains. So trust is a very big thing. If we have trust and faith in something, that sometimes move mountains also for us. So this man had faith in God, and Lancho thought that God will never do that to him. So he decides to write a letter to God saying that his crops are destroyed and he wanted some help, some money he wanted from God so that he can sow his new crop and he can survive till the new crop is grown. So he wanted money from the God. So he writes a letter, asks money, say to God that it is very sad that his field is destroyed, his crops are gone, and he asks for money. And what happens when he asks for money? He writes a letter to God, addressing to God. And when the post office people find that letter, first they started laughing at him. But later what happens? The post master, he was a little, sensitive person. So he thought that the man is in trouble and he is such a man who trusts God so much. So the post office people decided to help them. And suppose he wanted 100 rupees from God, they were only able to collect 70 or 75 rupees. It's given in the story. You all have to read it. So only 75 rupees they had collected, and they sent that money order to Lancho. And what happens when Lancho sees that money? He gets very upset, and again he writes a letter to God that, God, I know you had sent me the amount I wanted. How can you give me less amount, the amount which I wanted for sowing the field and for the use of the next session? So he said, God, I trust you. You are right. You have sent me the amount which was asked by me, but you don't trust these post office people. They are very wicked, they are very wrong, and they have stolen my money. So this letter again he writes to the post office, and this way the post office people, they laughed, and this ends here. So this is the story, children, where a person's trust. See, even the God writes him back. It was not God actually who wrote it back. It was the post office people who helped him and who sent the money, but they could collect only 70% of the money, and they had sent that, and instead of thanking God, his trust was so much that he thought it was not any man, it was God who gave the money, and he complained God about the dishonesty of the post office people. And this is such a lovely story. You all read it from your book, children, and write all the word meanings. Use the words in your own sentences, not from the story, and then write your sentences, your own sentences, not from the book, and then write the question answers. Children, do all the comprehension, read the story again and again, and if you find any word which is not understood to you, you can consult dictionary or you can ask me. So this was your first story, children. We have done it. And now I'll come to the story which is called poem. This poem is Dust of Snow. So we'll take up this poem now, children. It is written by Robert Frost. Dust of Snow by Robert Frost. And you know Robert Frost, children? He is an American poet. Robert Frost is an American poet, and he was born in 1874, died in 1963, and this is a lovely poem by him. And children, this is the same Robert Frost who wrote the poem The Road Not Taken in your class 9th, and that poem was also very good, and it was very according to related to your age. It was very relevant poem. And children, Robert Frost narrates characters very beautifully, and he also explains natural beauty very nicely. He also has a very good imagination. First, his prose and poetry was published in England, and then he also became famous in America. So the poem is Dust of Snow. Do you know what is the dust? Whenever there's a snowfall, children, it is not in the form of stone. It is not in the form of hailstone. It is in the form of cottonish, light, feathery, white color coming down. You might have gone to some hill station to enjoy snowfall. So here, the poet says that he is in a bad mood and he has ruined his half day. That is not given why he is in bad mood, but the poet is in very bad mood, and he is walking in a valley where there is a hemlock tree. A hemlock tree is a tree with small white flowers, and those flowers are, children, poisonous. So he happens to walk there, and it is winter, it is snowing, and there is a hemlock tree, and he passes from that. So the poem, I'll read out the poem for you, then I'll explain and we'll talk on this. The way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. So this is a very small poem. And children, here the poet says that he was passing by a tree, and what happens? There is a crow on the tree who comes. It's not given whether the crow is sitting there or flies there or is adjusting itself. It's not given. But due to the movement of the crow, the dust of snow falls on the poet. From where? From the hemlock tree. That means the snowfall is going on and there is snow on the tree leaves, on the branches, everywhere. And because of the movement of a crow, the snow fell on the shoulder or on the, it's not given where it fell. It just fell on from the hemlock tree on the poet. Has given my heart. And that small incidence, that small incidents of falling of snow, what happens? Changes the mood of the poet. See, very small, very unimportant activity of a very, not a very much loved bird, because crows are not very much loved, isn't it? So a crow's movement, just a small incident, very meaningless incident, a snow falling on somebody, and that shaking of the tree, because of the shaking of the tree, the snow falls on the poet, and that small activity, that small thing makes his the left part of the day. Has given my heart, my means poets, a change of mood. His heart changes. His heart was sad, and then his heart became happy, and saved some part of a day I had rued. Rude means which was held in regret. He was not happy with the day. So, when he was not happy with the day, his day which was left, that was made up by that small activity of falling snow on him, and his day was made, he became very happy, and this is the poem. And this poem, children, also tells us that when we all come across small incidents, when our mood is off and we feel bad and we don't want to talk to others, any small thing, we don't go to the paths, depth, we don't go in depth, but small things ruin our day. It ruins our mood. And that small thing, sometimes we ruin others' days. We don't talk properly to others. We are in bad mood. We are angry. We shout. So children, we never know what small things they will make our day, and our day will be all right. So this is, I think, the poet wants to tell us the importance of small things which are not very much important, which are meaningless sometimes, which are not having very big, a very big importance or meaning, but still they sometimes make our life. So I will say that each and everything in our life has some meaning, has some significance. Insignificant things can also be significant in our life. So this was a poem by Robert Frost, lovely poem, which tells us the importance of insignificant things. And next poem, children, is given by same poet, Robert Frost. This is Fire and Ice. Children, I tell you, I'll read the poem first and then we'll discuss this also. Some say the world would end in fire, some say in ice. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. That is, the poet is saying fire and ice. There are two things. See, fire is also symbolic, ice is also symbolic, children. Fire is symbolic of desire, lust, greed. These things, the fire is symbolic of these things. Okay. So, fire means the people have lot of desires. They have that lust. They have greed. And these things are going to make our world finish. The growing lust, the growing greed, as we know what is happening now. See, this poem can also be related to the present scenario where it is due to greed of people eating bad things, not meant to be eaten, and we are infected by virus by which See what has happened to our world. We are all locked in, and the nature is reviving itself. Same way the poet says that in this poem, that some say the world will end in fire. That means the world will end due to too much growing of desire, too much growing of lust, too much growing of greed, all these negative qualities. Some say in ice, but some say it will be over. The world will over due to ice. Here, ice means coldness. Coldness means not temperature wise, but that people are not affected by others. They have become cold. They don't consider others' heart. They don't consider people's sorrows or joys. They are just self-centered. They are so cold to others. They don't love nature. They don't care for animals. They don't care for birds. We are so indifferent to nature. So some say that the world will be over in ice. Ice means coldness, hatred, and the rigidity. That people have become so rigid. They don't want to change themselves. So children, it is only you people when you grow up are going to change the world. And I am so proud of my DPS students that you people understand and you are so caring. How class 10th helped a man to find a man who was shelterless and homeless. I remember that last time we spoke to the authorities and sent that man to old age home. So I am sure you people are so much sensitive and concerned about your surroundings that you are always ahead in doing good things. So coming back to poem, children, some say it will be over, the world will be over by ice, by rigidity, by coldness, and by hatred. From what I have tasted of desire, he says, according to the poet, what he has tasted, what people have tasted, they think that fire will be the one which will be ending the world. He holds himself in the favor of fire. He says that lust, greed will finish our world as it is going on now. See. But if it had to perish twice, if the world gets two chance, if the world gets two chance and the world is to be finished twice, perishes, to die, to be, to become extinct, to perish away, to go away, to die. Then it is, if the world gets, it is world. If the world gets second time, then I know enough of hate. There is so much hatred. To say that for destruction, ice is also great. That hatred is also such a poison that it is also enough to destroy our earth. So second time if it gets, even hatred is so much. See children, everybody says that if you have hatred in your heart, it is like acid. It burns yourself. So you should never hate others. Hatred is that acid which burns your own heart. So never hate others, love others. Everyone has one or the other good thing, good quality. Others may not be right from your perspective, but same way you may not be right from others' perspective. So don't be rigid, don't judge others, be polite and caring and good to others all. I know my DPS students are like that. So ice is also great to destroy the world if it gets second time, and would suffice. That means it will be sufficient. Small form of sufficient. It will be sufficient. So there are so many bad things which are going to end our world, and we have to care for Mother Nature. Children, these were two poems by Robert Frost. Please write the summary. You are in class 10, so I am not going to give you summary. You have to write the summary, and lesson 1 with its poem is complete. In next video we shall start Nelson Mandela long walk to freedom. So we are going to start this. Complete your work, have a good time, obey your parents, and bye bye. Thank you.